Hey everybody, it's Jurius Doctor. Recording this on my cell phone because it's easier than spinning up my PC. And my kids are asleep. The house is quiet. And I had a few minutes, so I wanted to record something for you to catch you guys up on where I've been. It's been almost a year since I posted any significant content, and I feel like I owe you guys an explanation at the very least as to where I've been and what I've been up to. So to try and keep this as short as possible, I've already recorded this video over and over again 3 or 4 times. I'll just start at the top. So January 2021, I left a job where I was experiencing severe burnout. And burnout's a really, it's a scary thing. It's a very serious thing. I've recorded videos about it on my channel. I think you should go and look at those videos if you haven't already. But yeah, the burnout was real, and we were in the middle of a pandemic, and I was fortunate enough to be working in IT. It's what I do now. I still work in IT, and I was lucky to be a relatively senior position. I was a systems engineer, basically a tier 3. And what that basically means is I was expected to know how to be able to do pretty much everything. And the company where I was working, wonderful people, have worked there, still a few that I maintain contact with and that, are good people. But in general, the company had started to experience some organizational change, and there was some policy and other decisions made that started to degrade the corporate culture and affect the quality of my mental health, my actual health from the burnout and overwork and just demands in the pandemic. And in IT, one of the things that happened with the pandemic was that while a lot of people got furloughed or had to take, in Canada we called it CERB, the COVID emergency relief benefit. In the States you got stimulus checks. In other countries it's been called other things. I was fortunate enough not to have to do those things. I was able to keep working. I just simply transitioned to working from home rather than working from the office. And at that point, I'd already been pretty much working remote, so it wasn't a significant change for me other than I stopped being as social and I didn't get to see as many people. And the other side effect is that, while people were getting furloughed and I wasn't, and things got slower for other people as they went into lockdown, we got busier. We got a lot busier, and things got really crazy. And while, normally we would benefit from overtime pay and other measures of that nature that would make up for the extra squeeze we were putting in, the juice that we were getting out of the work was a lot less because things like overtime and other things had been pulled back. And we were expected to, if something had to happen after hours or changes needed to be made in the evening to prevent a company from suffering daytime disruptions like server restarts and other things, we would shift our schedule so that we were doing it at night. But my responsibilities as a father and a husband don't go away simply because I have to shift my schedule to accommodate a client. And I wasn't getting paid any extra for that. And all of that started to add on major stresses. And then when I started thinking about doing my work in Eve and creating video content to help new bros, especially when I had disagreements with where the direction of the game was going, which I'll get to in a second, I started to lose my passion to play and create for Eve. So in January of 2021, I finally made the decision I can't do this anymore. I need to change companies, or I need to change jobs. And I accepted an offer after a couple of pretty short interviews to go to another company in the managed services provider space. Basically what that means is outsourced help desk, which is what I was doing. So when I changed jobs, I went to an amazing company, a small, privately run, couple of owners, good friends who actually used to work for the company that I was at. And they took really good care of me. They actually offered me the money that I felt I should have been making in the first place. The change at the time happened during a period where, because of the demands of COVID and the increased demand for technical people and trained technicians and technical staff, I was able to see a 1/5 increase in my annual income, almost a quarter increase. So I went from being 20 or 30% below market wage to sitting comfortably on top of or above it for my position and my seniority. And that was a life-changing thing. I have nothing but amazing things to say about the company that I was at. It was the first time in a very long time that I had been happy, where I had a sense of work-life balance. I was still able to work from home. My health started to get better, started to lose weight for a little while, and then I started gaining weight because I was comfortable and eating well, and things got a little bit better. And then it was great, actually. My wife said to me, this is the first time in probably the 10 years of our relationship to that time that she had seen me happy and stress-free. And she said, you're really happy here. This is a good thing. Stay with it. And I was very happy to stay. I was able to travel, but on my agreement, I was able to get weekend projects and do things for communities nearby, and I really felt like I was contributing. I was a valued part of a team, and it was a good place to be. As you can tell by the past tense, I'm not there anymore. So what happened was that a year later, a year after recovering from, being at that prior employer, I ended up in a situation where a friend reached out to me, a former colleague of mine from my previous employer, and he said, "Hey, what are you up to?" And I said, "Well, working for this new company, very, very happy. Things are great. Things are getting better. Wife and I are starting to look at, buying a house or getting into the market." For me, this is happening a little bit later in life. I'm turning 42 this year, actually in 2 weeks. I'll be turning 42. And he says, "Well, we've got an open position here for a technical account manager. I think you'd be good at it. If you're interested, I'd like you to apply." And I said, "Sure, absolutely." I mean, his name's Chris, and I'm really close with him, just because we've worked together for some time. We've known each other for 3 years, going on 4 years now. And I said, "Yeah, sure. You know what? Tell me a little bit of the process. Tell me about the company." He said, "Well, it's a software company, still in the tech space, very, highly positioned enterprise software." And I said, "Cool. It's interesting." And he said, "The interview process is long. It's 4 interviews at least, and then you have to give a presentation." And I said, "Okay, that's a little daunting, but yeah, give me a chance here. Let's look at it." So I put in my job application, I gave him my resume and my cover letter, and he forwarded it on to the right people. And I think it was about 4 or 5 days, and I had a phone call lined up pretty much right away. Phone call with the interviewer, got to know the HR person, interviewed with then a team lead, or the manager for the division, and then one of the other team managers for the one that covers the East Coast, and then a panel interview with multiple people where I gave a presentation. And based on the presentation skills, and I had 2 weeks to learn how to use and understand and observe the tool that I was being asked to present. I was given kind of a script of things to talk about and some constraining things to research, and I was given some resources to learn about it. And they said, basically, based on this rubric, put together a presentation and essentially try to sell this to us in kind of the sell me this pen kind of model. Not to trivialize or minimalize it, but there's a lot of really good reasons to see how well somebody speaks in front of a crowd, or how they present themselves, how eloquent they are, how they respond to questions, and those kinds of things. And in the tech world, this is extremely common. Like, these are very much on par with the same kind of interviews you'd go to if you were in a non-engineering, role at Google or any other major software company. And so I went in and I gave my presentations. I had my interviews. I felt that things went pretty good. Actually, for a little while there, I was almost too insecure, and I thought I thought I'd skunked it, or lost the opportunity. I was really doubting my presentation skills by the end of it. But they came back to me right away with an offer, and this was in December of last year, and they told me, hey, here's your offer letter. The offer completely blew me away. I was completely not expecting it. It was significantly more, again, than I had been making since my change of positions in January the year before. And I was like, gee, this is, was going to be a tough decision, because I was really happy where I was. I loved the managers of the company and the owners of the company that I was at. I had actually brought them two fellow coworkers from my previous company, just through friendly referrals and answering questions when people reached out to me. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to leave, but they put an offer on paper that made it really easy for me to say yes. And so I started with this company that I'm at now. And in the same breath that they were saying, here's your offer letter, and sliding a piece of paper across the table to me, virtually speaking, they also confided, hey, our company's been bought by one of the world's largest IT companies. And when I say one of the world's largest, I think it's number 6. Like, it's up there. I now work for a company called Broadcom. So I got this amazing position at this great big company, but from January to today, I've basically, last 7 months, been getting up to speed and learning to do my job, and drinking out of 3 simultaneous fire hoses. The first fire hose being learning how to do my job that I was hired for. Second one being learning how an enterprise company on a global scale like Broadcom functions, even though I'm just in the software divisions. And then learning about my enterprise customers and learning how to support them and understand how they work and how they exist. And it's a big damn job, and there's a lot of moving parts, and there's a lot to learn. And I was surprised to see that I was able to rise to the occasion. I'm doing very well now, and this has all been very good for me, but it's also meant that I've had almost no time to dedicate to any significant time sinks over the last year and a half, between recovering from burnout that put me in the hospital for a 3rd time, and dealing with health issues like skin cancer, and finding out that I've got a thickening heart and the early stages of kidney failure. Dealing with, having a new baby. In October of 2021, we welcomed my 3rd child, my wife's second, our youngest daughter, and I've been overjoyed by that. I've had nothing but good things come into my life over the last year and a half, but at the same time that all these wonderful things have been happening, my joy and my passion for playing Eve has dried on the vine. And it's a combination of different factors, and I didn't really want to say this to you guys who've been such great support for me in coming to this channel, but as much as the burnout started it, and my desire to invest significant time in Eve started to fall off, changes that I've seen at CCP and in the game have kind of robbed me of my hope to see that things will accelerate and get better and continue to improve on a reasonable scale. And the closer I got to seeing how the sausage is made, both, occasional peeks behind the curtain at CCP, and also working for software companies and in my previous roles running software companies, I've started to realize that for the amount of money CCP has earned and continues to earn for Pearl Abyss, I mean, they're a profit driver. They're a revenue generator in a significant way. And we're talking tens of millions of dollars every quarter for Pearl Abyss, the amount of investment in the game and how long it's taken them to do things has been really dismaying for me. FanFest of this year really kind of put the tombstone on it for me. You have thousands of players who have come from around the world, new and experienced, but predominantly vets, senior players who've been veterans of the game, spending thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars to come to Iceland for a few days or even a week, bring their spouses with them in many cases. Some got married there. And to sit down in an audience and have the developers, whether it was scripted or not, tell them, you're not the priority. We only care about the new players that are coming into the game and the revenue they bring with them. And I think that if they had taken more time and massaged the messaging a little bit better, it would have been less of a debacle when it was, said to the community. But a lot of people were hurt by that. And I have spent a lot of time thinking about the pedagogy of, the ontology of how you teach new players and how you bring meaningful content to EVE. And so even talking about these feelings has been really hard for me because I'm divided internally into three parts. In one, I only want to share my joy and my appreciation for the things that new players can experience in EVE. It's still a good game and an amazing community, and I have a lot of love that carries on and a lot of nostalgia around EVE. And I want new players to get meaningful content and meaningful instruction for the game. And I still occasionally teach the odd class for EVE University when it is a payoff for me to do so, when I have the time and I need the the dopamine kick of talking to people again and getting in front of a live class. It makes me feel good to inspire attention and love for the game in new players. It still does. It's really the only thing about EVE that gives me any joy at this time. And the second part of that is that I appreciate the game as a business, and I appreciate CCP as the machine that it is, and I deeply appreciate the work of the developers there. And I don't think that this can be laid strictly at the feet of the developers in a point at them and they're the bad guys and, boo-hoo all the things I want to be different in the game but aren't. That's not where I'm coming from. And the third part, so I don't want to poo-poo all over CCP and their devs because they're wonderful people and I love all of them, even where they don't like me. And there's a few that I'm sure don't. But then there's the third part of me, which is that I'm freaking tired, man. Like, I'm getting older. I'm tired of the BS. I don't have the energy or the spoons to pour out of myself to sink into nullsec dynamics or any of that crap. I just don't care anymore. After some of the work that I've done and some of the life stuff I've been through lately, that shit could not matter less to me. But I don't want my cynicism to discolor the hopes and the engagement and the joy of new players. So this divided mind of mine, on the one hand of the scale, I have the love for the game and the love for new players and helping people learn to play this game. And on the other side of the scales, I have my cynicism and disappointment and frustration and hate for the way that things are going. And in the middle, I'm trying to balance it on a scale that is built around appreciating the machine for what it is and not having any control, either over CCP or the game. I tried running for CSM 5 times. I'm done. I can't anymore. I just don't. I don't have the spoons. I can't dig deep enough to get that and make it happen. So I think from here forward, I'm not going to be making new content for EVE in any kind of regular release schedule kind of way, because there's just not enough juice for the squeeze for me emotionally. I will continue to make content for Eve, but I can't promise a delivery timeline. I'm happy to publish an updated list on a regular basis of the things that I'm working on, the video projects I have coming, to let you know what's in the pipe, but I can't guarantee when those pieces will release. So it's going to be a slow trickle, if anything. And I know that there's a lot of you who subscribe to my channel who may be disappointed to hear this, but I'm just being transparent with you guys. This is where I'm at. And it's hard for me as a creator to find the joy to invest and to get excited about creating video content when the process of creating that content requires me to engage with a product that doesn't make me happy. And it's doubly hard for me because I'm ADHD and very likely on the spectrum, and anything that I don't love doing feels like dragging sandpaper over my gums. It's the very last thing I want to do. And if any of you have ADHD, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm going to focus on the content that does make me happy. And lately I've discovered that there's a few games that really bring me a lot of joy, that I have very much enjoyed playing. Several of those games are quite a bit older. Some are still in development, and many will be new. But the one game where I have seen my joy rekindled in sci-fi that has taken me away from Eve has been Star Citizen. And while Star Citizen has been maligned for a number of reasons, and yes, it's still in alpha, it's still not a fully baked product, it does a lot of things for me that Eve doesn't do, and it's different in enough ways that it doesn't feel like the Eve experience. And in a lot of ways, it's exactly what I was looking for. I also have been playing a lot of Jedi Fallen Order. I'm very much looking forward to Jedi Survivor. And I've even gotten back into playing Magic the Gathering and MTG Arena. So you can expect to see, especially with Bethesda's new upcoming sci-fi release, me creating video content for other games. What I'm saying is I'm going to diversify the content on this YouTube channel, and you're going to start seeing more videos from me, but the number of Eve videos will be fewer and far removed in between the other content I'll be creating, because that's the stuff that gives me joy, and I'm going to ride the dopamine from creating that content to start putting out more Eve content. So when I feel good and I've got enough content out that makes me happy and I can ride on that for a bit, then I'll start creating Eve content again, but it's going to take some time. And when I take the time to teach new bros in Eve University, which I do some occasionally, I will try to remember to record those sessions, and I will upload those to YouTube for everyone. I hope that's enough for you guys. I'm sorry if any of you feel betrayed by this, or you're going to unsubscribe. I expect that as a matter of course. But for those of you who are sticking with me and who want to continue to watch my channel, and those of you who've been watching all along but haven't subscribed, I'd encourage you to do so. And thank you for your faith in me, and thank you for sticking around this long. I hope to talk to you guys soon. If you have any questions or any comments, please feel free to throw them in the comment section below. I'm sorry it's taking me so long to get this video together for you guys. I hope this helps you to understand where I've been for the last year and a half. And, oh yeah, by the way, we bought a house. We moved from where I was to an even smaller town in British Columbia. We managed to buy a house that's 120 years old. We've spent the last 8 weeks renovating it and getting it into better shape, and it's far from done. We still have a lot of stuff to do, but it's warm, it's cozy. I have the AC in case the temperature gets really high again this summer, and it's a sound house. It's taking good care of us. So, lots of good things in my life, and I hope to bring some of my rekindled joy to your guys' computer screens. Anyways, Jurius Doctor signing out. You guys have a good night.